course surrounded and is a part of this island. And so it's kind of a question of how do we preserve something that's very much still alive and still a part of people's lives. So first off, see if we can go through here. There we go. So some of the early collections of Irish traditional music, we know that music has been a part of life on this island since before there were written records. Early collections, however, kind of the first publications were with John and William Neal in 1724. So that collection turned 300 years old last year. Strangely enough, the tunes or the airs were written down for the most popular instruments at the time, which were the violin, the German flute, and then what was called at the time the hautboy, which we know today as the oboe. So there were Irish airs being played on the oboe in the mid-1700s. Shortly thereafter, Edward Bunting went and recorded the airs and the jigs being played at the Belfast Harpers Convention in 1792. He was only 19 years of age at that point. I don't know many 19-year-olds that I would trust to save a dying tradition, but Edward Bunting was well able for it. He was a trained pianist and organist. He worked at the Pepper Canister Church in Dublin. And then when he went up to Belfast, he was recording what was passing away as a tradition is the Gaelic harping tradition. So there were only 11 harpers at the convention. 10 of them were men, one was a lady, one was from Wales, and then about half of them were blind, and one of the harpers was 106 years of age. So most of the music they had been playing was a century old or even older than that. So he was recording it and it was preserved then for generations. There are lots of harpers and harpists who still play those tunes. And then there was a gap for a while between kind of those collections and the bigger ones to come. But later on, there was the Society for the Preservation and Publication of the Melodies of Ireland, which sometimes when I think Irish Traditional Music Archive, it's a lot handier than the Society for the Preservation and Publication of the Melodies of Ireland. It was started by George Petrie in 1855. He painted, he studied archaeology. He was kind of an all-around kind of learned or Renaissance man at the time. So in 1851, he founded this repository. So basically you could write in with your songs or your airs that you had heard or maybe you had learned, and you would post them into Dublin. It would go into this repository, and he had encouraged the public to participate. So this was the first kind of sourcing the people to collect these instead of just, you know, one person going out to collect. Now, that's not to say that he didn't. He most certainly did. He made many trips, especially to the west of Ireland and the Éireann Islands, to paint the scenery and the houses that the people lived in, as well as collect poetry, describe the dance of the time, as well as the songs and the music that he was around. This was about the time, of course, of the Great Hunger on Gorsa Mór. So he actually writes in 1855, the land of song was no longer tuneful, or if a human sound met the traveller's ear, it was only that of a feeble and despairing wail for the dead. This awful, unwanted silence, which during the famine and subsequent years, almost everywhere prevailed. So this sense that there had been such a vibrant musical and song-filled society on this island, that chain was weakened, almost broken in a sense, at that time, because Ogloon Gogloon, like you would learn generation to generation, you would sit on the knee of your grandparent and learn the songs or the music. And with the famine, you had young people moving away. You had the oldest generation and the youngest, who were the weakest, dying of starvation and disease. So there was a real change, not just in how we lived as a community, but kind of the culture within the community of song. There weren't as many people singing. Work songs changed at about that time. So if you're familiar at all with some of the Scottish wool walking songs, we would have had something very similar on this island for milking, for ploughing, for work songs, and those, we don't have any record of those after the famine anymore, really. Then Brandon Branagh was a major collector. He worked for the Department of Agriculture, he worked in UCD and folklore, and he went around and documented as many individual tunes as he possibly could. You can see him, he was a piper there, he was head at Peabody Uillinn for a while. And when he passed away in 1985, he left this huge collection. And that was really the push or the impetus to say we should have an official archive. So our foundation as an archive, it was a trial pilot policy by the Arts Council in the summer of 1987. So there's Nicholas Carlin and Harry Bradshaw, the first leaders of the archive. And so it was this idea of there should be a place that is specifically for preserving and collecting Irish traditional music, song, and dance materials. It was made permanent in 1988. So it was important, obviously, and at that time as well, Irish music is starting to go global. So you had the Chieftains going on tour, Irish dance competitions, you have the world's competitions. This is about, 7 or 8 years before Riverdance as well. In 2006, the ITMA was introduced to our current home at 73 Merrion Square, where we still live today. We have the whole building, top to bottom, administration offices with manuscripts, our reading room and public library, our special collections room, which is currently undergoing some change. We are going to have a public exhibition on Christy Moore's collection, as well as our basement, which is a newly refurbished digitization suite, as well as studio. So this is our staff. I had to count them out today and make sure I didn't miss anyone. Our director is Liam O'Connor, a brilliant fiddle player and musician, and his enthusiasm and expertise is our guiding force at the archive. Sean O'Potts, and then we have a whole team of people who work with donors, because we are a charity, of course, archivists and digitization specialists, librarians, the administration side of things. I'm mostly on that side as a cultural engagement coordinator. So kind of connecting people to the materials. We have people who work specifically with artists to collect materials or do field recording and interviews, rights and permissions, because anything we do collect or that is given to the archive, we would have to clear it for streaming or for broadcast or anything like that. Digital communications, of course, social media. You may have seen this through Burren Bio's website or the Heritage Keepers Facebook. And of course, we have our own side of it as well. And then we have a new position coming on in the next month or so of a Clare Digital Access and Development Officer. So the idea would be to have someone in every county who is specifically going out and meeting and interviewing people who have music, song, and dance materials, speaking with them, recording the tradition that they bear, as well as working with them to allow others to access the materials. Because our goal as an archive is to digitize and democratize access. So while we live in the beautiful building at 73 Merrion Square, we would love to connect as many people as possible throughout the world to what's inside. And we do that through our website. And then we have a massive catalog and server. And we're faced with a challenge of how do we put as much out there without letting it be, downloadable or zipped away at the click of a button by people who just want to seal it all up themselves. So we work with artists, we work with technicians and digital specialists to try and find the best way to do that. Currently on the website, if you were to search County Clare, you would get about 10% of any of our materials related to County Clare. So we're constantly trying to put things online so that anyone anywhere in the world with an internet connection can get it. But there's just a massive, it's like a drop in the ocean sometimes. People wonder, haven't you gotten everything at this point? No, we haven't. There's always something new. There's always new compositions. I'll talk about that later, or new recordings that have been left in an attic for decades. So we're always working to kind of connect people to the materials as well as preserve the materials. So what we do is we collect and preserve, fairly obvious for an archive, organize and describe, also important for an archive, and then present and publish. So it's not behind closed doors. We don't just want catalog records. We want people to be able to access it because it is a living tradition. We're very lucky in the sense that I talked about Petrie and the land of song going silent. Our traditional music, song, and dance has survived the turbulent history of this island, and it's not one that needs revival. We're not looking only to historical records. It is all around us still. It may not be as obvious, or you might have to go, half an hour away in the car to go find some, but it's very much still a part of our lived experience on this island and around the world. And it's thriving. So there are more people playing Irish traditional music, Irish dancing, singing Irish songs now than there has been at any other point in history. So we would like to be this well that people can go to and kind of dip into. So you can actually access our website and find things by location. If there's certain musicians or collectors you're interested in, different smaller web pages include songs from Newfoundland or children's songs that maybe you would have sung at school a few years ago here in Ireland, and then just different pieces like the New York connections, Argentinian piping. Wherever it's at around the world, we want to make sure that people can connect and come to it with their own experience as well. So I'm just going to break down our 3 things there and what we do a bit more. So the first thing is collect and preserve. So we work with all kinds of materials. Like this is just a few smattering pictures. I like pictures. So the first one in the top left here, that is our newly redone studio. You can see about half of it there. So you have the live desk here. So we have the ability to record within a live room. We've had musicians such as Cormac Begley and Christy Moore record their own repertoires in there. We also have here a load of cassette decks. So we have about 10 of those installed at the moment, which means that you can run 10 cassettes at a time. And when we digitize them, we want to get a good run of it so that as the tape deteriorates, and we work with everything from LPs and acetates and 78s all the way up through reel-to-reel tapes, which if someone's unfamiliar with that, it's kind of like the inside of a cassette if it were bigger. So it's a tape on a reel like that. And if you don't get a good pass at it the first time, you're liable to start losing the material on the tape. The tape in layers can start to peel apart. So we try and get that done in one go. So we have the cassette decks, we have a few reel-to-reel machines, about 3 downstairs, as well as digital capacity for DAT tapes and CDs, etc. So we are the best digitization lab on the island, more or less, if not one of the best in Europe at this point. And that's made possible through the Shared Island Initiative, through the Department of the Taisce. And so because of this new studio, we are able to digitize at a high rate and do it in-house. So it used to be we used to have to send a few hundred cassettes off-site to have somebody do it. And they might not have been familiar with Irish music, or they might have had, something distracting them. So they might not have taken as keen of an attention on it. So that is the digitization, the preservation in-house. People bring us their cassettes, or we might get a call and say, oh, I'm cleaning out my uncle's house and I'm just going to put them in the skip. Do you want them? And then people do just have to say, oh, I'm hitting the road. I have to go out to North Clare or something like that to go collect tapes. Here we do field recording as well. So that is, we collect in that sense. So very much living artists. So here we have Charlie Harris playing the box there. We tend to do a series during Willie Clancy Week in Milltown Malbay, where we interview tradition bearers, dancers, singers, musicians, people within the community who have had a long connection or a strong connection to the tradition. And so we record that. That also goes up onto our server and the website. so that people are able to kind of listen to those tradition bearers. We have a series called Taisce, which tend to be people of an older generation. Our director, Liam O'Connor, talks about the Laurelon sa Cheol, so the library in the head, because once somebody is gone, there's no way we could know about their stories, about their memories, about their experiences. So having an in-depth conversation, not just about their music and the way they play it, but where it came from and what inspired them, kind of their journey in the tradition as well, is so very important. So that's part of the collecting and preserving. We work with paper materials, of course, as well. And so you can see some of our manuscript collection here. We have manuscripts dating back to the first half of the 1800s in our collections. And then, of course, we have worked with the likes of Trinity, as well as the National Library, to work with older manuscripts that may have been left dormant, sitting on a shelf in a library for decades. And through our work, we're able to digitize it. We have a wonderful scanner. I'm told it's the same type of camera they send into space with NASA to photograph the Earth down below. So it gives us a very high quality scan of manuscripts without us having to, place it down on a flatbed or, position a photographer above it, taking a single picture each time. So we have manuscripts, we have photographic collections, of course, and these are all cared for in a very particular way. We don't tend to use the white cotton gloves in the archive when we work with those delicate materials, because it gives you kind of a sense of false security, because when you can actually feel the delicate manuscript with your hands, you're not going to tear, it won't tear away. You notice how delicate it is. So for the describing and the organizing, then this is moving collections within the building. Each box has its own barcode, and it's banded, it's described in the catalog as to what is in each box. That way, if somebody comes looking for something, we know it's in that box, we know where that box is. And it's an incredibly important step, because if that goes out of place, it's not left where it's supposed to be, it could have gone anywhere. We care for, well, we have catalog records for about 250,000 items within the collection. So we are the largest collection of Irish traditional music, song and dance materials. So this is a small screenshot of our catalog. I can pull it up later as well. But you can filter out your searches by text, by image, by we have our poster collection that's being digitized as well, audio and video records. So you can narrow it down. You can look for specific tunes. You can look for musicians. You can look for things related by region as well. So we try and cover not just all parts of this island, but anywhere the music has traveled, which is kind of obvious places like the United States, England, Canada. But of course, there's uilleann pipers in Cuba now, and in Argentina, there's ceilidh bands in Japan. So we catalog as much as we can, as quickly as we can, so that people can see what we have and can access it or come in to do research with it. And then our last step is presenting and publishing, which is not just wonderful webinars and series like this with the heritage keepers, but we work throughout the year in different kind of formats to connect people to it. So up here in the top right corner, I've got a screen grab of a dance piece that Edwina Guckian composed as part of our Saher series. So we commission 12 artists each year, one per month, to compose dances, new songs, or new tunes in the traditional idiom. So in the sense that it's this unbroken chain of tunes or songs that may go back centuries, but there's always something new. It's very much alive as well. So this is one figure of a dance that Edwina composed this year as part of our Say Her series. And you can find those online, the transcriptions of the tunes. You can listen to the artist playing them or singing them, as well as in this case, you can see them being danced. Down below, this is a photograph from our Drawing from the Well tour. So while we live in Dublin, we don't, Dublin I think it was Marty O'Malley in an old video from West Clare kind of said, well, who's to say what headquarters is? Like, why is Dublin headquarters? Why isn't Milltown Millbay headquarters? We don't want to be headquarters in a sense. It's just where we are. We want everything out there and people connecting to it. So this is when we go on tour, in a sense. We work with different artists every year to go all around the island. So in the coming weeks, we will visit Listoll, Belfast, Milltown Millbay, Limerick. We'll have one in the Sugar Club in Dublin, London, and the idea is that we're going around so that more people can come and enjoy traditional music, song, and dance. So this is last year's Derek Hickey and Aoife Ní and then Stephanie Keane, a phenomenal dancer, stepping it out there when we were in Connemara. We're going to Connemara this year as well. So you can find us touring around there. We're leaving Dublin and going out around the island. That's me. Surprise. We have tours of the archive at times throughout the year to kind of talk about what we do, to take you through those rooms like the digitization studio and into the library. We usually include some sort of singing and tunes and then steps, usually from myself, where we're kind of sharing this living tradition. I trained as a history teacher, so that's why I can kind of just keep talking and talking and talking. But it's a wonderful way to connect people, not only to the tradition, but then the work we do. We have a limited collection of really interesting instruments, like a walking stick that doubles as a flute as well. So you'll have to come in and visit us to see that, or a fiddle made out of an orange crate. So all kinds of good things. And then lastly, I suppose, publish in the sense of the true sense of the word. We have books, CDs, and publications like that. So last year, we would have had the Piggott collection that went out November of last year. So it's a manuscript collection from the Cork area in the first half of the 1800s. Nicholas Carolan and Kathleen Hegarty put that together, transcribed hundreds of tunes, as well as the history of John Edward Piggott and his wife, who did a lot of the tune collection, and some of the other collectors. And then this is our most recent publication as of this month. We have Tommy Potts, The Sorrowful and the Great, written by his grandnephew, Sean Potts, who works with us. And it's a look not only at Tommy Potts's playing and life here in Dublin, a biography in a sense, but truly the impact and his legacy in the greater Dublin story. So what was happening at the time, because obviously that impacts the music, the song, and the dance of an area. We're very lucky that, in a sense, this very small island has such strong kind of regional styles as well in the music, in the song, and the dance. So whether it's Donegal fiddle traditions and the way they swing a reel, or the polkas and slides of Muscree or Corcohuena, it's a wonderful, rich tradition. So just connecting people to it. And sometimes we have people come in who have never heard traditional music until the night before. They come in and say, we were in the Cobblestone pub in Dublin and we heard traditional music and we want to know more. And then we have everyone up through PhD researchers who come in and use our library services, and everyone in between. Because in a sense, it's not in a sense, the collection does belong to the people. It belongs to ye, and we just kind of mind it for people to help pass it on, because what we build today is what will be there tomorrow. So we're constantly striving to digitize and protect everything, but then to make it accessible as well. We're not trying to kind of say, oh, you have to come here and see it. We want you to be able to see it wherever you're at. If you're in Longford, if you're in Carlow, that you don't have to come up to Dublin, and that you get to go exploring it and just explore the things in your region as well. So I'll just fly through the last bit here. I said we're home to the largest collection of Irish traditional music, song, and dance materials in the world. We're open to the public. We operate like a library. There's no paywall barriers. We help facilitate your research if you have an interest in lyrics to a particular song, if you want to listen to tunes, if you want to watch a dance or a concert performance. You can come in and visit us without an appointment, Monday through Friday, 10 to 5. We just close for the lunch hour from 1 to 2 so that we can eat our sandwiches. But otherwise, like, that collection is for ye, really, for the people. It's made by the people for the people. I guess thinking about heritage keepers and passing things on, this is just a chart we use of, and you can apply it to different field work as well. So level 1, just static kind of recording a concert, but then you might ask questions of the performer, kind of what's behind it, not just what the tune is called, but maybe where they got it or their influence, and then maybe an in-depth interview as well. So I guess that's the kind of, if you were to do a bit of field work, whether it's in dance or folklore or anything like that. Then those are our funders here at the end, or our partners. So the Arts Council, our doors wouldn't be open without them, honestly. They are a majority of our funding comes from the Arts Council, starting in 1987, of course, under their pilot program. But they continue to be our biggest funder, and our work is possible because of them. The OPW, we get to call a beautiful building home because of them. And then different partners like the Arts Council of Northern Ireland, Shared Island Initiative, the Heritage Council. We work often with the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, as well as the different schemes within the government of connecting people to these materials or reaching across borders, to reach out and find that connection through music, song and dance. So I'll just take a minute there to kind of show off our website a bit. There's a couple different places that you might explore. So quite handily enough, there's a place called Explore, and you can kind of look through based on places, people, tunes, songs, dance, decades. So if you're interested in any of those kind of particular, maybe you thought, oh, I'd like to see something from a particular decade, maybe you're thinking about back in the day, or maybe even thinking about maybe what your parents might have been up to, you can click in, and it'll kind of give you, we have different pieces like playlists, we have manuscripts, we have photographs or blog posts that artists do sometimes. Then say if you were to search by place, we have it kind of broken down again. Like I said, we've got places like Australia and Argentina, as well as Belfast. One of our employees is living in Berlin at the moment, but there's all kinds of places. We are working, there we go, on constantly updating our map. So there are a few markers on here, of course, that you can click on that would take you to a place. And then you can search by people as well. See here, there we are. Our website was recently redone in the last year and a half or 2 years or so. So there are bugs that are still being fixed, but we're working to always update and bring in, say, new people or the new composers. We work with poets as well and artists to do kind of mixed media pieces or things that you wouldn't really consider first off in the tradition. You can learn more about us under the About page, as well as catalogs. So if you look here, you can start to filter down through kind of what you're interested in, as well as if you go back, we have the little magnifying tool here that can search the website, as well as we have the main catalog, which is what I talked about with the, 250,000 results almost. And so again, just kind of looking towards not just a tradition that has been here for centuries, millennia, but it's always new. So here's, for example, this month, say her compositions by Tim Collins. So he would have composed these kind of commissioned by ITMA. And so the idea is, I had a professor explain it to me in my Masters of Folklore, in the sense that Irish traditions, of not just Irish traditions, but it would be like a sunflower. So it's always rooted in, it's rooted in the ground, it's rooted in tradition, but it's always going to turn its face to where the light and the energy is. So if there's this new source and this new inspiration, new life, tradition is going to follow that. So we're not just preserving the past, of course, we're working with young students still, everyone up to adult learners and tradition bearers who have lived this their whole lives. So we're very lucky in that sense, that it's a living tradition we're working with. It's not just dusty pages that we're preserving as a manuscript. That we get to listen to music. We get to make music. A majority of our staff are musicians or a few singers, and I'm the guilty dancer here. So I suppose that's the overview of what we do. I'm probably forgetting half of what we do, really. But if anyone has any questions whatsoever, feel free to throw them my way. Happy to try and answer them anyways, and just delighted that everyone could be here. And my thanks again to Heritage Keepers and Byrne Bio for thinking of us and including us in this great program.
Bridie, that's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. I feel like I learned so much in the last half an hour, 35 minutes. I'm just going to open the Q&A here, and there's a number of questions in it. So first question, if we wanted to have a local screening of some of the content, is that something that would need permission, or can you just use it? Not a commercial thing.
Great question. So we love when communities connect to the material. It's a great to kind of give us the heads up, because we might be able to give you a better format of it, or even have someone come out and do a Q&A with you. So our own director, Liam O'Connor, when I mentioned this, he was very excited and said, like, oh, I could go down to Clare. And I said, I think it's a webinar. It's not an in-person one. But we'd happily kind of give you as much information as possible. But yeah, we do operate like a library. So if it's cleared, as long as if it's an unticketed event and it's kind of local community, of course, like we're happy for everyone to look at it. And especially like we talk about the local people, like people make a place, but there are these giants of traditional music and song and dance around the country who they're like heroes, really. And these giants, so of course connecting to them is wonderful. Yeah, do. Or you can reach out to any of us at the archive, and we'd be happy to kind of help line something up or give more insight if we can.
Excellent. Brilliant. Okay, that's fantastic. So how are the dances included in an archive? Presumably they're not all videoed.
Fantastic question. As a dancer, it's so incredibly hard, because while the Western world decided at some point on general staff notation, you know, in the 1700s of, all right, this note and that line and all that, there's no way to formally notate dance in the sense you could write it out and say, you know, in waltz position, you count 3 steps with your partner, but what does that look like? Or if I were to say jump, kick, very different as well. Now, I do have somewhere, yeah, here, we work with Michael Tubridy, who was the flute player in the Chieftains, and then later he and Celine put together dance videos that are available through our website and on YouTube and in the archive of dance steps. And he kind of wrote out a way of putting your feet as well. So we have this book in the archive. Wow. It's very hard, because jump and kick would look different to someone. If I just said it, someone would do it different from that person, from that person, from that person. In a way that's very beautiful with Shan Nos dancing. So working with Edwina Guckian before, she made us all close our eyes and she danced a rhythm and we had to give it back. And each of us did the same rhythm, but very different footwork for that rhythm. So that's the way that Shan Nos passes. But the tradition of steps, or say like a big kind of group dance, very hard to, like, you're looking at records from the 1500s that say, oh, there were 2 long lines on the hilltop, and you're just trying to pick, like, what are they doing? So until videography was far more common, it was very difficult to record the steps. So there's a massive effort now, as it's an important part of the archive, even if you don't automatically think of dance as part of this archive. It's historically the dance music of Ireland, is what it's been called. So interviewing dancers, even, you know, some of the oldest dancers who might not be able to do steps anymore, if they have students who are able to do the steps. We've interviewed older ladies, older gentlemen who use kind of hold on to the back of a chair and will still kind of show out their steps if they can. So now, like, because we have that ability, it's so important. But yeah, it's a fantastic question because how do you write down dance? It's so physical and so, when you're looking at it, takes your breath away sometimes. But if you're reading it off a page, sometimes it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's absolutely something that I've never thought of before, but actually was a really good question, of course.
We do.
Um,
We have two shelves in the library at the archive, which is just when you look at everything else, you're like, why is it only two shelves? And then you start to realize it's very hard to not. You can write about dance, or we have the books about river dance and set dancing and the history of Irish dance. But beyond that, if you're trying to, it's not the same as staff notation. So it is a great question and it's a
mhm.
challenge, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll take one more question. Let me see. Thanks for this amazing resource to have available. Would love to find ways to bring the archive materials to life for children in my school. Have you seen any examples where this has worked well, or any ideas come to mind?
Fantastic question again. We actually had a meeting about 2 weeks ago, myself, the director, Edwina Guckian, Kathleen McGowan, and a few other board members from the archive about how do we not just kind of package resources for schools, for teachers, and for students and families, but like how do we let them come and pull it out themselves? Like what can we have that like draws them in? Um, it's something we're working on. We're
Mm.
chatting to places like Merino that trains the teachers because we would love for that to happen. There are some books, depending on age level, that are great. Trying to think, there's like pop-up books with new songs. Song is a great way, and I know it's the most common way. Um, there are some schools that are lucky enough to have a musician kind of visit maybe once a week or once a month. And we find that just if you're even kind of near the music, the traditional music, song and dance, it doesn't seem as daunting or as kind of, oh no, that's not for me. Just the sense that you're exposed to it. So if there's any chance of somebody coming in to just do a couple of steps, or we find it connects well with folklore as well because it goes hand in hand. So I keep saying it again, Edwina. Edwina wrote Sparks from the Flagstones, which is the folklore book, and it goes into the dance and the music as well. So the way that some dances are done to specific songs, or oh, this is a tune that was believed to be from the fairies. So say if you were telling a fairy story or a myth, you would play that kind of tune in the background that was given to one of the Blasket Islanders who said he heard it on the wind. It came from, Port Nabucco. It came from the ghosts, from the fairies, from the other world. And there's lots like that. So I find if kids can just latch onto something, there's no stopping them really.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the idea of the schools getting a local musician or something to come in and play for the children. Um, Bridie, that's been absolutely fantastic, so interesting, and it's such an amazing, great resource to have. Fair play to the Arts Council for funding you because it's just so important. Thank you so much on behalf of Heritage Keepers and Burton Bureau Trust and all our participants tonight. And it has been recorded, so it will be available on our YouTube channel. And I will say good night to you.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Good night. Thanks, everybody.
Night.